I remember when I moved into the ward, so we met in the same ward.
Yeah.
And, but when I first moved in, no one was meeting during the time and stuff like that. And I was going with my friend Brooke's family for church and stuff like that. And it's just like, she told me, it's like, Lauren, you need to meet Joseph because you guys would either love each other or hate each other. So I've known for months that I was supposed to meet you.
Really? Before you ever met me?
Like,
How planned out was this? I don't feel like I was an active participant at all. You like, you put your friend up to asking me to ask you out, and you put, how was I, this wasn't a decision on my part. I was like clandestinely manipulated into it.
Hey, you're
Not
happy.
manipulated. I am, but what?
But our first
Like telling me that I'm happy? Is that your?
But our first actual meeting, yes, it was true. You were having a really hard time.
Yeah, so
And
I was having a hard time at church, and I'm not, no one can tell when I'm having a hard time, like no one. But you didn't even really know me and noticed that I was having a hard time at church, and just like gave me a hug, like, are you doing okay?
Yeah, like you bore your testimony. I was like, hey, check on him. I think he needs a hard time. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go talk to him after sacrament.
I didn't know it was like step 7 of your 14-step plan. The first time I remember meeting you was at like, I think the first time we really talked and met was at the FHE activity.
No, I agree.
Where we did like that hike thing.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm like, she's pretty cool. She's pretty cute. I don't know. Maybe I will. I'm gonna give it a few weeks. I'll get to know her a little bit first before I ask her out. And then the next Sunday, we were at Linger Longer, and you put one of your friends
I wasn't even there.
No,
when this
one of your
happened.
friends came up to me and she's like, so what do you think of Lauren? And I was like, who's Lauren? And she's like, come on. And I was like, oh, that Lauren. And they're like, yeah. And then I was like, I don't know, she's kind of cute. And they were, what'd she say?
You're the type of person that has to like think about it too.
Yeah. She said, I think if you asked her out, she would say yes. And I was like, okay.
Which was
So
true.
are you trying to tell me to ask her out? And she said, basically. And so I was like, all right, I guess I'll ask her out. So, oh man.
So the way we figured out our first date, we were at a FHE activity. I talked about how I wanted to learn how to ride a one wheel, and we just like kind of started talking more and more during FHE. And at the end of FHE, he was like, are you sure like you want to ride a one wheel? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, let's go do that for our date. And so we're trying to figure out a time. And we're like, let's just go tomorrow. And I'm like, okay.
What she didn't know is that I've used one-wheeling for many years as the date of choice, because it makes a girl a little nervous and she has to hold your hand. So you just like instantly breach that. But you were good at it. You picked it up surprisingly quickly.
The funny part is I picked it up in like what, 5 minutes?
Yeah, like 5 minutes.
Picked it up real quick. But I still
The best
epically
part
ate
was
it.
I was like, I had brought like full body armor and like knee pads and wrist braces and a helmet, and she didn't want any of it. She's like, I'll be okay. And I'm like, okay, you're okay, but I'm gonna make an executive decision. You have to wear a helmet and wrist guards.
And I still epically ate it. I got like scrapes on my arm.
You got scraped all over the place. I told you you'd fall and get hurt, and you're like, I'll be okay. And you weren't okay.
And then my pride got in the way and I fell.
True. Like, she's not moving fast. She's like a freight train that's lost its brakes. Just like moving so fast. And every time I talk to her about it, she's like, no, I want to go slow, I want to go slow. And then her actions are like a hoochie mama coming in for the kid. No, I'm sorry, that's not that way. But like you knew what you wanted and you were going for it hardcore. And I was like, Lauren, there's what you're saying and there's what you're doing, and they are not congruent. I just need to know, like, if you want to go faster, that's acceptable, but you can't be like telling me one thing and doing a different thing. That was probably, yeah.
That was probably my embarrassing, awkward moment.
You lost it.
I'm standing where the lightning
That's what you were, though. You knew exactly what you wanted, and you were like saying a different story, and then coming for me with your body, and I was like, what? No, you were like showing off your hips and like giving me the shoulder and all sorts of things, and I was like, what is this? I don't know what to do with this. Because you're like, no, I want to go slow, and then like hoochie mamaing up to me, and I'm like, babe, look, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. You just gotta be honest with what actually happened.
You make it seem worse than I did.
That's exactly what happened. Maybe that's the technique. You'll teach your future daughters that, look, here's the way to do it. Tell them they're gonna go slow, and then convince them with body language. Like Ariel or something.
Oh my God.
Body language, right?
So I want anywhere from 2 to 4 kids out of me, and adoption's always on the table for us. And
Going
he
for
just wants
an
three.
even dozen. 12.
Yeah.
No, here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna have 3 kids and then triplets. So we'll get to 6. No, that's terrible. No, I have a minimum of 3. So minimum of 3, no maximum. Because it's like, you're doing all the work. That's like, we go on vacation and I have an extraordinarily good time, and then you do a lot of work for 9 months. That's not my position to be like, hey, you want to go for another 9 months of work? That's like me signing you up for a job that you didn't even know about. That's not very fair. So that's why I want to discuss this beforehand and have it laid out. Like, look, minimum of 3, okay? And dogs don't count. Dogs are not children. I know you're gonna try to convince me of that later in life, but they don't count. So I like stayed up till like 3 in the morning in a fit of inspirational rage. And I designed out her whole ring and then had this harebrained scheme that I was gonna build it somehow, because I can make anything, right? That didn't work out. I had to work with a guy. So it's so close. We're like right there.
Like
but someone can't like wait for the appropriate timeline. You really can't. Like,
well, because you were like, I want a 1-month engagement. I was like, do you hate me?
no.
And then I was like, minimum 2 months. And technically,
Look, the longer it is, the more the woman hates the man. Look, I'm like a lone man in the wilderness over here, okay? I've been like fasting for 28 years. And now I have like the sweetest moose pie of all time, and I can't eat it.
Before you, 'cause you are.
So I remember when Joseph asked my parents if he could marry me, and my dad looked at me and was like, Lauren, are you sure this is what you want? And I said, when we first started dating, he was what I wanted, because I took a dating class and he was checking off all my non-negotiables, things I wanted, my ideal vision of a relationship. And as we started dating, he became what I needed. And I'm so grateful that I have him in my life, because I never felt butterflies in our relationship, because I learned butterflies is like anxiety. I've always felt peace and calm with him, and I've never felt more at home with someone before. And I'm a very tough person, and it's hard to get to my inner feelings, and he's the only person I've let so deeply into my heart, and that's why I fell in love with him.
'Cause you are the best part.
I think the moment, it wasn't really a moment that I knew that Lauren was the one. I remember being like 8 years old, and I decided at like 8 years old that I wanted to be a dad. I wanted to be a husband, and I wanted that more than anything else. And it's been it's been a very gradual process. Just, it's like, how many days in a row can you have that are amazing before you're like, yeah, she's it. She's the one. It's just constant. There's never, like on the Hot Crazy Matrix, she's a unicorn. She's a straight she is. She's just, I'd be a fool to not marry her. And I think even on a deeper level, I trust her, and she matters to me more than anyone else I've ever met.
Stand on the edge of the unknown. When I'm with you, I feel so weightless. Let's fly.